Okay, so 2 months ago, me and my closest mate left from London for 2 months interrailing around Europe. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to run through and rank everywhere that we've been. I'm going to make sure you don't do some of the mistakes that we did. I'm going to give you some places that you can't miss, and I'm going to run you through the total cost of everything that we did. So yeah, let's get going with our first location of Amsterdam. Oh, and before the video starts, I have gone quite heavy on the timestamps. If you want to skip ahead to any countries or anything you want to know around costs, then just go ahead and do that instead of watching the entire quite long video. Aside from the coffee shops and the red light district, Amsterdam is probably one of the most beautiful cities that we went to. We spent 4 days there, and honestly you can just wander around. It's one of those cities. You can walk around, everything's beautiful, something to eat here, something to eat there. We visited this place called Zandschans, which is sort of this old river town with all the windmills on the river. Likewise, we also visited this place called Haarlem, which is nearby. All these places are great if you've got unlimited train pass, just to go on a day trip and stuff like that. And yeah, Haarlem was particularly beautiful, sort of like a classic Dutch town. So in terms of the rankings, I'm going to go with affordability, safety and beauty. Amsterdam, cost-wise, Northern Europe, a little bit more expensive. I'm going to go with a 7. Safety, a couple of bits you don't want to be in at night, but apart from that, honestly, completely safe. I'm going to go with an 8. And for beauty, in terms of cities, it is very, very beautiful. So I'm going to go also with an 8. So a pretty solid start. Okay, as we move into Germany, we've reached our first stinker, ladies and gentlemen. I feel like Cologne really was not all that. It had that unreal cathedral, but apart from that, it's more of a drinking town, and that's not really me. Lots and lots of drinking, lots of industrial stuff, but yeah, we only had a day and a half, but yeah, for me, not really worth a visit. So in terms of price, Germany's fairly cheap. We'll go with a 7.5. Safety, very safe. We'll go with an 8. Beauty, cathedral, 10 out of 10. Overall, 7.5. Okay, unlike Cologne, however, as we move over to Berlin, we really have got some good things to talk about. So Berlin, in terms of architecture, one of my favourite places actually for architecture. Culture's great, food, okay, German food isn't brilliant, but in terms of the overall place, we stayed in a really nice neighbourhood, and yeah, we had a great time in Berlin, so I really would recommend going there and seeing all the different sites. Price-wise, I don't know, probably an 8-ish, like 7. Yeah, we'll go 7.5. The whole of Germany is fairly inexpensive. Safety, I'm going to stick with an 8 actually, and beauty, I'm going to up from Cologne 7.5 because the cathedral, I'm going to go with an 8.5. Okay, we have reached our first sort of hidden gem, and I'm going to talk about Dresden. So, Dresden is super nice. We only stopped there on our way to Prague to sort of break up this big 8-hour train that we had. Really underrated. Architecture great because it was completely flattened during the war and then rebuilt. We went on sort of an unnecessarily long walk, but it was nice nonetheless, and we sort of saw the nice cultural centre of the town along with some big palaces and some nice buildings. So yeah, I would really recommend Dresden. I'm not going to rank it because we weren't there for long enough, but yeah, really would recommend. Okay, as we move on to Prague, I do have to say I feel like I didn't spend enough time here. We only had 2 days in Prague, and obviously because we stopped off at Dresden the day before, we only sort of had a half day. But in terms of beauty, Prague is really up there with the cities in Northern Europe in terms of beauty. Insanely cheap, so I'm going to give it a big 10 out of 10 for cheap. It's probably the cheapest place that we went, to be fair. We saw all the good sites, saw the castle and that sort of thing. Town centre's obviously incredibly beautiful. In terms of safety, I felt really safe in Prague, and in terms of beauty, I'm going to give it a solid 8.5 out of 10. But yeah, I can't really judge it because we weren't there for long enough. Spent more time around this area of Europe, but yeah, I would recommend Prague as well. Okay, as we move into Austria, at a risk of repeating myself, Vienna is again an insanely beautiful city. If you go, you have to visit all the palaces. For example, I think it's called Schönbrunn Palace that me and my mate went to. I'll put some pictures of that here. That was really beautiful. The whole centre feels insanely royal and sort of elevated. As you move out, it gets less and less nice, but still very nice. Price-wise though, it is a very expensive place, so I'm going to give it a big 6. Safety, insanely safe. I'll give it a 9. A lot of these places are very safe, especially compared to London. And beauty, I'm going to give it a big 9 out of 10. In terms of buildings, you're not going to get much better than Vienna. Okay, keeping along the theme of underrated stop-offs that we had, just like Dresden, Graz in Austria is another one that I would really recommend stopping off at if you have the time. The city town, big town sort of thing is built around this very large mound in the middle. Really worth the view from the top. I'll put that here. And yeah, I really would recommend. We were there on the sort of Oktoberfest equivalent in October, so yeah, everyone had their nice outfits on. And yeah, it was a really enjoyable day when we stopped there. Okay, just to preface, this little bit here, we did about 4 countries in 5 days, and that's one thing I do regret a little bit. I wish we had spaced a little bit of time from the second half into that first half to sort of allow us to stretch that bit out a little bit. And as you can imagine, I'm seeing so many new places that I haven't had a chance to get any clips yet, but they are definitely coming. So next up we had Ljubljana, capital city of Slovenia. Very cute town. We were there on a Sunday, which in Europe means everything's closed, unfortunately. So we kind of just walked around the entire day and did like a silly amount of steps. But yeah, very cute, really cheap. So I'll give that a sort of probably like a 9.5 out of 10. Safety, insanely safe, 10 out of 10. And in terms of beauty, it's very cute. There's not a whole lot there, but I'll give it a solid 8 out of 10. Okay, so as we reach Lake Bled in Slovenia, we reach our sort of first shockingly beautiful location. So this place is sort of big mountain park, and there's just this huge, insanely blue lake. I mean, I'll put as many pictures as I can on the screen right now. This is a place that you must visit if you go to Europe, and I couldn't recommend it more. And this is also the time that I took my first video of sort of how we were going on the trip, and there's a lot more to come. So yeah, I'll hand over to previous Isaac to see how we were getting on at this point. Okay, so I've just had a moment of quiet, sort of chill in the hostel in Slovenia, so I thought I'd give you sort of a bit update of how it's going. In terms of locations, like everywhere has been so good, to be fair, so far. Sort of a couple of places that I thought were a little bit overrated. Wasn't a massive fan of Prague. Was not a massive fan of Prague. And Cologne, the cathedral, is top, but everything else was not brilliant. It's me and Gwil still getting along, which is great. We've got our mate Charlie linking up with us tomorrow in Venice, getting on to my most excited bit now, towards Spain, Italy and Portugal. So really looking forward to that, and yeah, everything's been going well so far. And we're in the most beautiful location right now, Lake Bled. If you ever get the chance, this has got to be a trip that you make at some point, because it's literally unforgettable. I wish I'd had a couple more days here, but it's raining so badly right now, and I'd love to have another couple days in the sun. Obviously it's going to be better in the sun, but yeah, you can't really control the weather. So yeah, overall we've been doing well so far. Hopefully that clip wasn't too chopped up, because I know I do tend to ramble when I talk to the camera. But in terms of price, Lake Bled is sort of middle of the road, maybe a 7. Safety, I mean, literally 10 out of 10. Who's going to rob you on a massive lake? And in terms of beauty, 10 out of 10. Probably the most naturally beautiful place that I've ever been in my life. Okay, as we go into Mediterranean Europe, I can kind of let more of the clips do the talking. So as we get to Venice, we pick up our other friend Charlie, who is joining us from here on. In terms of Venice, you do get what you see. It is beautiful, but the Mestra town that you stay in is not particularly safe. So I wasn't a huge fan of Venice, to be fair. It gets a little bit boring as you go on. So price, it's very expensive. Safety, it's not brilliant in Mestra. Beauty, it is obviously very beautiful, and you get what you expect with Venice. Okay, next up, Florence. Really beautiful location. The sort of, I think it's called the Duomo in the middle of the town, in the middle of the city, is insanely beautiful. One of the best views that we saw, and then sunset-wise, unreal. Just the whole city is really good. In terms of price, it's fairly expensive. Italy's fairly expensive. Sorry, not an 8. I'm going to give it a 7. Safety, really safe, as is most of Italy. I'll give it an 8. And beauty, it is very beautiful in Florence. So yeah, would recommend, as I would most of the locations. Okay, it's been a little while since we made it from Bled, but see? As you can see from that clip, Rome is pretty much everything you think it's going to be. It's insanely old. Every corner has some sort of landmark. Really walkable city, but we were a little bit far out, so that kind of was a little bit of a iffy point. There's not really any hostels either, so do watch out for that. In terms of cost, it's really expensive in Rome, probably one of the most expensive that we've been to, so I'll give it a 6. It did feel fairly safe, so I'll give it a 7.5. In terms of beauty, you don't really get much more beautiful than the Colosseum, so I'm going to give you that. And if you do get the chance, do go and see Vatican City. Okay, so we're at the Vatican, and in 2 minutes we're going to be arriving in another country. I'm going to show you how to step from one country to another. Avoiding a little bit of bad weather, we have now made it to Pisa. That thing is not even the only cool building. I can't lie, I thought the tower was the only sick building. See a couple of all leaning as well. So another relatively short stop in Pisa for a day. The boys really didn't like it. There's not a whole lot in Pisa apart from the tower, but because we only had a day there, we didn't really see too much of it. But yeah, I can understand where they were coming from. Price-wise, it's fairly expensive. I've lost my pen. Where was I? Price-wise, Pisa was really expensive. Safety, we were there one night, so I can't really tell, but I'd probably give it an 8. It felt fairly safe. Beauty, obviously the tower is insanely beauty, and it's sort of a very classic Italian town. So I'll give it a solid 8. Yeah, worth a stop on the way. So rough though, almost on. Okay, I finally managed to get a second to myself. As you can imagine, travelling with 2 people, you don't really get that much time. But yeah, I mean, where did we get up to? So last time I spoke to you, we were in Lake Bled. So we've done the whole of Italy since then. This is our last day in Italy. It's definitely been the best country so far, like by far. The food, literally top. Rome, easily the best location I've been to so far. A little bit expensive, but like if you can find the budget, Rome is definitely worth a visit, at least for like a couple of days. Got another month to go. A little bit of a slowdown. I kind of put the second month on screen here. In terms of where we are right now, Genoa is like insanely beautiful. I've heard from a couple of mates that the south of Italy is very similar to where I am now. So yeah, I'll put some clips up of where we've been. It's very picturesque. Trains are a bit of a nightmare towards Germany, towards Barcelona. A little bit stressful, but I'm sure we'll be okay. And yeah, I'll try and record some more clips, but I've kind of been off it. But okay, after letting Isaac ramble a little bit, I'm going to give Genoa. I mean, the whole of Italy is fairly expensive. I'm going to give it again, sort of 7 out of 10. Safety, Genoa. There was a massive protest on, and I didn't feel unsafe at all. So I'm going to give that a good 8 out of 10. And beauty-wise, it's sort of very similar to the south of France, but just Italy. So I'm going to give it a big 8 again. I'm going to quickly touch over the south of France because we really didn't spend that much time there. We're in Nice for a couple of days, and then we stayed in a place near Montpellier for a couple of days. Price-wise, the south of France is insanely expensive, so I'm going to give that a 5 out of 10. Safety-wise, it felt alright, not too sketchy, not too unsketchy. Beauty-wise, the best beaches that we had the entire time were in the south of France, so that was a little bit of regret that we didn't spend more than a couple of days there, but yeah, really good beauty, so I'm going to give that a 9 out of 10. Okay, we made it to Spain. I feel like I know that I missed out on France a little bit. We're trying to find a gym unsuccessfully. So you actually have to live. Who would have thought? It's a good idea. You may have to live in the place before coming to the gym. But I'm going to get you a little view of what we're coming up on when we're walking past to go to the gym. In terms of France, it was really nice. I love sitting by the beach. Again, I probably couldn't have spent more than 2 or 3 days sat by the beach, but I could have. But yeah, it would have been a little bit boring. It would have been different. Yeah, I'm more of a person to see. So this apparently I thought it would be some sort of palace, but it's actually some sort of art museum. So yeah, that's what we're up to. I forget so. I'll try and keep more updated than I have been recently. Finished our gym session with a mad sunset. Nuts. Yeah, try not to ramble too much about these locations, but yeah, Barcelona, beach, buildings, food, people, everything's perfect. Literally couldn't recommend it more. So yeah, I'm going to give that a big 10 out of 10 on literally everything, because everything's great. 10 out of 10, it's really cheap, it's really safe as well. We felt it was safe. I didn't really feel any of the pickpocket culture that it said it had. And beauty, I'll give it a 9.5 out of 10. Okay, I feel the last time I updated you, we were having a sunset in Barcelona, but we made it to Valencia and we picked up this guy. You can see him in the background. Some guy from Canada, and he's just the most unreal cook. And he's cooked.
Such a good chef. I don't like
He's just cooked us. I'll put some pictures on the screen. I need to get myself in the camera a little bit more. He's cooked us a 3-course meal, literally like stewed rabbit in a fucking hostel. Some of the best food I've ever had, and like
in a hostel kitchen for like. What did
he spend? He spent 40 euro, but like it's like 11 euros for like, I'm so full. We had a cheese board. Yeah, unreal. In terms of Valencia, insane, unreal. Keep saying the same stuff, but yeah, I'll definitely put some pictures and some videos of where we go, because I just feel like the whole of Spain. Oh, and I managed to practice some Spanish as well. We literally had like an hour conversation with this lady. I'm thinking, oh, I haven't really been able to practice my Spanish much, because obviously we've been in Catalonia. And so just this lady appears out of nowhere, and we spoke to her for like a good hour, and it was like my brain just felt infinitely bigger after the interaction. So it's definitely given me a bit of confidence for speaking some Spanish. Yeah, I'll keep you updated, and yeah. Okay, just as a preface, from now on I actually film so much that I don't really need to speak too much. In terms of Valencia, it is very, very nice. Price-wise, it's a little bit pricey in terms of the places we went in Spain, but still, Spain's still very cheap, so I'll give it a 7.5. Safety, really, really safe. Everywhere in Spain feels really, really safe to me, so I'm going to give it a good 8 out of 10. Beauty, it's okay for Spanish cities, it's up there. I preferred Sevilla and Madrid, but in terms of beauty, so I'll give it a good 7.5. Okay, Madrid, a little bit like London, quite corporate at its core, but in terms of the centre, obviously you've got the Royal Bank of Spain, insanely beautiful. The main street, again, very like Oxford Street in London. It's very, very corporate and sort of lots of shops. But yeah, and very, very pricey. So I'm going to give that a 6 out of 10. We'll give the safety, it didn't feel particularly safe, but again, not too bad in terms of in general. And beauty-wise, it's probably a solid 8. So Madrid, pretty solid, but yeah, not 100% worth a visit in my opinion. Okay, I found a quick moment to record a little bit of a video of Madrid sunset. We're going to Seville next for 4 days. Kind of reaching the end of our journey. It's literally flown by so quickly, and that's one thing you will find, to be fair, is that it really, really does fly by. Last couple of days we had another friend join us, and that's been really, really top. So yeah, Seville next. I'm really looking forward to seeing the Plaza Mayor, where it's like where all the Star Wars stuff in, I think it's maybe Naboo, I'm sure someone will correct me. It's filmed in the second film. It looks top. In terms of rain, I feel like September, October has been perfect. Like, we've only had maybe 4 or 5 days. We've only really been soaked once, and that was in Prague. And my jeans were literally wet for like 10 days afterwards. It was that bad. But apart from that, I feel like we've been pretty lucky with the weather. In terms of my lip here, we've been playing paddle a lot because it's not really a thing in the UK. Yeah, I've gone for the hit a ball and I've smashed myself in the face, so not really ideal. But yeah, Seville's been great, kind of the sort of ideal place you want to take your parents on a holiday or something like that. Only thing is, it needs a beach, but yeah, can't really change that, to be fair. Another question I've kind of been asking myself recently is, am I ready to go back? To be honest, no, not really. I've been seeing pictures of the UK, the weather doesn't look too bad, but I feel like I've been kind of enjoying this time away. I feel like when I go back, maybe the last couple of days I'll be ready to go, and then when I get back, I'll be able to sort of appreciate the UK a little bit more. And yeah, so yeah, I'm not really ready to go back yet, but we'll see. Okay, to round off Spain, we finished in Seville, or Sevilla, I never really know how to pronounce it. As you can see, it's a really, really beautiful place. Fairly cheap as well, actually. In terms of safety, really, really safe, almost a 10 out of 10, we probably had no problems there. And beauty-wise, that obviously Plaza Mayor is insanely beautiful, so I'm going to give that a big 9 out of 10. Okay, I'm actually going to hand over mainly to previous Isaac to finish off our last little bit of the trip, and I'm going to come back to rank the locations. Okay, a little Lisbon update as I make my way down, pretty sweaty from a little walk up to a castle. Like a couple of places that I've been to, we've been looking at like a video from that I was watching a couple months ago to like judge where I wanted to go, and this castle was definitely one of them, and we accidentally stumbled across it in Lisbon, so that was quite good, but it was ticketed, so we couldn't get in. But we're moving our way to the second like touristy location. It's a beach. I'm definitely going to take a lot of videos there, so Uber's unreal. so cheap in Portugal, so that's definitely top. Literally €12 the entire way. So yeah, we went to the boys. Yeah, this is probably one of the most nuts places. It is a little bit sketchy, but but yeah, that is insane. Yeah, okay, the waves are actually nuts. I feel like the video doesn't really put into perspective how big that rock is. Definitely doesn't. Not at all. You got Charlie over there who's 5'11", giving us a little bit more perspective on the thing. Yeah, true. Put into perspective, I've been in Europe for 2 months. I think this is the coolest thing I've seen. You literally can't, it doesn't capture us. It's fucking nuts. Definitely gonna put the thumbnail here and the and the intro, so I'm sure you would have seen that already. Unfortunately saying goodbye, but just watch my feet. This place is unreal. Would recommend 100% anyone doing any travelling to come here in Portugal. Only about 2 hours away from Lisbon by like public transport. Yeah, this place is sick. Don't really get to film much of that sunset, but probably one of the best I've seen in my life. I'm going to chuck some pictures up on the screen probably instead of recording because I didn't really get much. Yeah, sunsets in Portugal. I would recommend it. Lisbon price-wise, compared to everything around here, it's fairly expensive, but obviously compared to up here, it's very, very cheap. So I'm going to give it an 8. Safety-wise, if you avoid the guys on every single street corner that seem to be trying to sell you some drugs, then you'll be alright. Probably like an 8 out of 10. And beauty, it is very, very beautiful. And I'll definitely give that a 9 out of 10. Okay, this kind of proves that not everywhere you stay it's going to be. So, sort of almost like a uni accommodation, but they're not mine. Just making some eggs for breakfast. And we found one fork, the two of us. We managed to locate another one, but yeah, bin's pretty. You just gotta make do, to be honest. To top it all off, we just found some shit, bro. Thinking that Porto might be a little bit of an underrated. I mean, look at that. Real. Guy knows what he's doing, bro. Okay, I don't usually get vertigo. Literal trams going beside you. I barely even heard it coming. Yeah. Oh. But I'm not even sure you can appreciate that on a video. Weirdly, it kind of feels like we're coming towards the end of this trip, because we are. It's gone very, very quickly. We're in the last 2 months of this trip. Like 2 months, sort of a couple of days of this trip, and last time maybe on one of these beaches. Our way towards Madrid, and then Paris, and then home. So we've got a day in Madrid, and then we're getting the train back to Toulouse, and then a night train to Paris. So we've only got another 4 days. So yeah, just trying to appreciate the last little couple of bits we got. Unfortunately, yeah, not really, but a little bit shit in the UK. So I think I'd rather be staying in Europe. But yeah, it is what it is. We're going to be back home soon. Okay, and so we finally made it to our last location, Porto. In terms of price-wise, it's a little bit cheaper than Lisbon in Portugal, and I feel like it's fairly underrated as well in terms of the things that you see in Porto. I'm sure I would have put a couple of videos like that on screen. Safety-wise, it felt almost completely safe, so I'm going to give that a 9 out of 10. Beauty has that nuts bridge and everything around it in terms of the river, so I'm going to give it a solid 8 out of 10. Also, to finish off, it feels a little bit unfair to rate Paris, but we were there for a whole day, so I will speak about it. Really, really nice. Obviously, we just hopped from tourist location to tourist location. Obviously, Eiffel Tower was unreal. But in terms of safety, didn't feel that safe once you move out of the central areas, so definitely be wary of that on your way back. Okay, we're finally coming home now. We're about a day deep into the journey, coming back to Portugal. First off to Madrid, which we stayed in last night. And now we're making a big long journey over to Toulouse, where we're getting a night train. So we need to catch up some time. Feels like every train is late at the moment. I'm trying to make us late for a night train, but I think we're going to make it. I think we'll be alright. Okay then, moving on to the final rankings and the top 3. My favourite locations are the 3 Bs. So at the top we've got Barcelona, we've got Berlin, and we've got Lake Bled. All 3 places should be the first on your list if you're making an interrailing route, and each of them for different reasons. Barcelona, sort of the all-around everything best city, that's why it's number 1. Lake Bled, just for the beauty, take as many friends as you can and just chill and swim in the lake for a couple of days. And Berlin, sort of a sort of different type of city, sort of culturally, and well worth a visit. Well, things to avoid, it's very difficult depending on who you are. You might like different things. For me, I'd avoid Cologne, I'd avoid Venice if you really, really hate rich people. because it just feels like a rich person's paradise. You don't only need a day there maximum. Pisa, it might just be worth seeing the tower, but apart from that, there's not a lot going on there, to be fair. In terms of really things to watch out for, Germany, trains are always late, just be prepared for that in your journey. As you get into Italy, Spain and Portugal, all long distance high speed trains require reservations, and you really need to make sure that you have those before you hop on the train. Okay, a couple more things to look out for. Airbnb wise, a lot of places in Europe will tell you they have a kitchen, and really they have a microwave and loads of kitchen appliances that they've taken photos of to make it look like they have a kitchen. So really do look out for that. Really scrutinise reviews of hostels before you go there, because it might be in a bad area, it might be prone for bed bugs and stuff like that, just stuff that you really don't want. And be wary of overpacking as well. In Europe, it's going to be hot, realistically. We only got rained on 4 times, once in Prague, once in Lisbon, once in Rome, and maybe a couple times in south of France. So yeah, don't overpack basically, because you're going to be carrying that stuff around for 2 months. Okay, moving on to the final cost of the trip, and I've broken it down into how much I spent on my Monzo, which was the main card I was using, how much we spent on trains and transport, and how much we spent on accommodation. So on my Monzo, I spent almost exactly £1,000, and so that was pretty convenient. I spent around 500 in each month, which shows I was spending probably a little bit more around here because this is a little bit more expensive. So, and then on trains, we spent 700 on the ticket, unlimited train travel with first class, which was only about 80 quid more, which is why we went for that rather than second class. But then we had to reserve trains around Spain, Italy, and the bottom of France, which we didn't need to do up here, but we did anyway because we didn't really know what we were doing, so watch out for that. And finally, on accommodation, we spent around £1,100, which brings our big final total to just over £3,000, so £3,000 and £20. So actually not as bad as I thought it was going to be. I thought it would be around 3.5, but I didn't spend as much money per day as I thought I was going to. Okay, to round off the video then, we're going to go with some essentials that you're going to need. Probably going to need a bum bag just to keep your phone and wallet handy, and miscellaneous stuff in there. You really need a money belt because you don't want to lose your passport. And inside I was keeping things like my locks for lockers. You're going to need those for hostels. Ideally, bring some sort of book or something to do on the train. That's not the one I brought with me, but it just saves you from just scrolling basically the entire time, or just look out the window because you are in Europe. And finally, one sort of different one I was going to go for is actually a washing line, because you might end up being in a situation where you don't have a dryer and you need to dry your clothes, and you don't want to have them strewn everywhere. You just want to have them in a nice organised place. That being said, thank you very much for watching the video. Do check out some other ones, drop a like and a sub if you can be bothered, and yeah, thank you very much for watching.